Hakdama to Masechta Ma'aser Sheni. So obviously Ma'aser, we spoke many halachas of the basics of Ma'aser, and really at this point in Seder's Ram we covered already a lot of ground, discussing many of the mitzvahs Hatulis Ba'aretz, Befrat Trumas, Ma'aser. The Mai really covered many of the important halachas that we needed to discuss in regard to Trumas and Ma'aser. But this Masechta, 5 prakam of Ma'aser Sheni. So Ma'aser Sheni continues the topic of the last two Masechtas. The Ma'aser must be separated from produce that's grown in Eretz Yisrael. This Masechta focuses on Ma'aser Sheni. So Ma'aser Sheni is the first the first portion that's separated from the produce is Truma. The standard amount of Truma is 2%. A 50th of the produce Truma is given to a kohen and may be eaten only by a kohen and the members of his household. After Truma is separated, the owner separates a tenth of the produce that remains. The tenth is Ma'aser Rishon. He gives it to a Levi and may be eaten by anyone. The Levi, however, must separate a tenth of what he got of the Ma'aser Rishon and give it to a kohen, known as Trumas Ma'aser, and has the same dinam as Truma. A second tenth is then separated from the produce that still remains. During the first, second, and fourth, and fifth years of the 7-year Shemitah cycle, the second tenth is Ma'aser Sheni. During the third and sixth years of the cycle, the Ma'aser is known as Ma'aser Oni, for the poor. It's separated instead of Ma'aser Sheni, it's distributed to the poor. The 7th year of the cycle is Shemitah, which is a sabbatical year, when most agricultural activities such as planting and plowing are usher. If produce grows on its own during Shemitah, it must be left for anyone to take. It must be hefker, and no meiser needs to be separated from any produce that grows during Shemitah. So unlike other meisers which are given to people, for example, it gets given to the Levi, gets given to the kohen, gets given to the ani, Ma'aser Sheni is kept by the owner. He must bring it to Yerushalayim and eat it there. Ma'aser Sheni, like all other meisers, is taken only from produce that grows in Eretz Yisrael, and the Rabbanon, from produce that grows in some of the surrounding areas, Lamashal Surya, which was conquered by David HaMelech, Aram Tzeva. Those areas are also mechuyev. Part of those areas are mechuyev in Ma'aser Sheni as well. The kind of produce that's subject to Ma'aser Sheni are the same produce that was subject to all the other Maasers, which was discussed at length at the beginning of Parak Aleph and Maasers. In general, anything that's edible that grows from the ground is mechuyev in these Maasers, although some types of produce are mechuyev in Torah and some are only going to be mechuyev in Rabbanon. A big chelik of the Masechta over here that's going to be discussed is the pidyon Ma'aser Sheni, being paid in Ma'aser Sheni. What is the pidyon of Ma'aser Sheni? What is it? How do you do it? So if a person cannot or does not want to carry the Ma'aser Sheni to Yerushalayim, for example, he lives 3 hours away, and if he's going to have to transport the grapes in a truck from wherever he lives to the Beis HaMikdash, to Yerushalayim, they're going to get all ruined, and it's going to be a loss for him, so it's not going to be worth it. So in order for him to not have to carry all the papers to Yerushalayim, he may transfer the Kedusha onto money. The produce becomes chulin and may be eaten anywhere. This process is known as pidyon. The money now has Kedushas Ma'aser, and it must be brought to Yerushalayim and used to buy food there. Specifically food, not anything else, as we'll see in the Mishnayos. The Kedusha then transfers to the purchased food, and it must be eaten in Yerushalayim in accordance with the Hilchas Ma'aser Sheni. The money, which now belongs to whoever sold the food, the money goes back to the status of chulin and may be used for anything. This process is known as chilul, which is the deconsecration, just like any other kind of chilul, but obviously here it's a chilul that's allowed. And in a certain oifen, it just becomes unkadosh from the level of Ma'aser. Ma'aser Sheni produce may be redeemed only outside Yerushalayim. The pidyon has to happen outside. It cannot happen inside Yerushalayim. If it's brought into Yerushalayim, the mechitza is keltais, it may no longer be redeemed. Min ha-Torah, though, it may be taken out of the city and be redeemed there. However, as a precaution against redeeming Ma'aser Sheni inside Yerushalayim, the Chachamim were geyser that a person may not even be paid the Ma'aser Sheni outside Yerushalayim if it already entered the city. As a further precaution, there were also geyser that once Ma'aser Sheni produce enters the city, it may not be taken out at all. This concept refers to something called mechitzas kultais, the walls take hold. That is, once Ma'aser Sheni produce enters the city, the walls of Yerushalayim take hold of it and may not be removed from the city or redeemed. This halach applies only to Ma'aser Sheni produce. The money with Ma'aser Sheni Kedusha may be removed from Yerushalayim. If, however, it becomes tamei and it cannot be eaten, it may be redeemed even inside Yerushalayim. Whether it may be removed from the city depends on how and where and when it became tamei, as we'll see in Paragimel. Ma'aser Sheni can be redeemed in either of two ways. Either a person sets aside some money and transfers the kedusha from the produce to the money, or he sells the produce to another person with the intention that the kedusha will transfer to the purchase money. In the second case, the kedusha transfers from the produce to the coins paid for it, and the produce now owned by the buyer becomes chulin. It's not only the Ma'aser Sheni's owner who may redeem it. A person may redeem Ma'aser Sheni that belongs to someone else by setting aside his own money to serve as its pidyon. The owner of the Ma'aser Sheni must give him rishus to do so. Obviously, without his rishus, he won't be able to carry that out. The produce, which is now chulin, becomes his, and the money, which now has Ma'aser Sheni kedusha, is his as well, and he must eat it in Yerushalayim. There's one crucial difference between a person who redeems his own Ma'aser Sheni and one who redeems Ma'aser Sheni that belongs to someone else. The Torah says that when a person redeems his own Ma'aser Sheni, he must add a fee of 1/5 of the produce of the value. So this extra fifth is added to the redemption money and also takes on the kedusha's Ma'aser. The fifth is added only if a person redeems his own Ma'aser Sheni with his own money. If he redeems his Ma'aser Sheni with another person's money, or he redeems another person's Ma'aser Sheni with his money, he does not have to be Ma'aser Chomesh. Ma'aser Sheni is to be redeemed for its exact price, plus a fifth, when he's Mechuyev in a Chomesh, which must be determined based on the assessment of an expert merchant. If, however, it's redeemed on any amount of money, it's valid even after the fact. Whether the large amount of Ma'aser Sheni is redeemed onto a small coin or a small amount of Ma'aser Sheni is redeemed onto a large coin. Once the coins have been sanctified as Ma'aser Sheni, they may generally not be exchanged for other coins. There are exceptions, though. For example, if a person redeems his Ma'aser Sheni on small coins, he may want to exchange them for larger coins so he'll have fewer coins to carry to Yerushalayim. Once he arrives in Yerushalayim with the large coins, he must exchange those for smaller coins, which he needs to make small purchases. Ideally, a person should spend his Ma'aser Sheni money in Yerushalayim on animals that will be used for karbanos shlamim. He may, however, use it for other food as well, as long as it meets certain criteria. Food with Ma'aser Sheni sanctity, whether produce separated as Ma'aser Sheni or food bought with money on which that produce was redeemed, must be eaten in Yerushalayim. If a person eats it outside Yerushalayim, he is over on two of the Torah's commandments: a mitzvah saseh, to eat it in Yerushalayim, and an isser on eating it outside Yerushalayim. The pasuk says, "V'achalta l'fnei Hashem alekecha b'makom asher yivcha l'shakin shmei ma'aseh degoncha tiresh v'tzarecha," and you shall eat before Hashem your God in the place that He will choose to rest His name there, the Ma'aser of your grain, your wine, and your oil. And the lav is lesuchal lechoil b'shorecha ma'aseh degoncha v'tiresh v'tzarecha. You may not eat in your outlying cities the Ma'aser of your grain, your wine, and your oil. The isser, however, does not take effect until the food is brought into Yerushalayim. If a person eats it outside Yerushalayim before it was ever brought into the city, he's not over on the lav of eating it outside. He is, however, over the mitzvah saseh. He's mevatel the aseh to eat the Ma'aser Sheni in Yerushalayim. Ma'aser Sheni may be used in any one of three ways. It may be eaten, it may be drunk, and it may be rubbed on the skin as oil. Which use it may be put to depends on the type of food. Food that's typically eaten must be eaten. Food that's typically drunk must be drunk. And items that are typically rubbed on the skin can be used to be rubbed on the skin. Ma'aser Sheni may not be eaten by a person who is tameh. Furthermore, one must safeguard Ma'aser Sheni from becoming tameh. If it does, no one may eat it. It's also usher to waste or destroy Ma'aser Sheni, and it may not be fed to an animal. So in a certain ifin, Ma'aser Sheni has a chumrah over truma, because truma can be eaten by the kains. It's nechse kains. He can feed it to his animal. There's machlekes Tanoim whether a person actually owns his Ma'aser Sheni. Remeir holds the Ma'aser Sheni is mammon gavoya. That means the Ma'aser Sheni doesn't belong to the person who holds it. It's Hashem's property, and the person who holds the Ma'aser is mechuyev to eat in accordance with certain guidelines. Rabbi Yehuda's Chayluk, he holds that Ma'aser Sheni is mammon hedyet. It's property of a common person. That is, Ma'aser Sheni belongs to the person who holds it, and he must follow certain guidelines in the way he uses it, but it does belong to him. This machlekes has different nafkaminas. Primarily, whether a person can sell or give his Ma'aser Sheni to someone else. If he doesn't own it, he can't sell it or give it away. He may use it only as the Torah allows him to, namely to eat it in Yerushalayim. What about Bizman Hazeh? What about today? Ma'aser Sheni, like all other Ma'asers, must be separated even today from produce that grows in Eretz Yisrael. There's a machlekes rishonim whether the chiyuv is midra Torah or midra Rabbanan. However, when there's no Beis Hamikdash, Ma'aser Sheni may not be eaten. Therefore, the Ma'aser Sheni must either be left to rot, or, as is more commonly done, it's redeemed on a small coin, and the coin is destroyed. For example, it's thrown into the sea, like it says in the Rambam in Hilchos Ma'aser Sheni. As we have said, the pidyon is valid even if a large amount of Ma'aser Sheni is redeemed onto the smallest coin. Although that's generally valid only after the fact, we're not permitted in the first place. Nowadays, when the Ma'aser Sheni may not be eaten, it must go to waste in any case. Such a kind of pidyon would be mutter anyways.